Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Creation Myths. Maddie's already doing the theme song. We're already ready to go here. Folks,
Mom!
I love it. Okay, so it looks like on YouTube, sounds all good. Chat, if there's any technical issues, just let us know, and I will do my best to fix it because I am a professional. So tonight, before we go any further, let's just introduce my wonderful guest, Dr. Maddie from Science Side Up. It is always a pleasure. Last time you were here, we somehow managed to take almost 2 hours to cover like a 9-page chapter on radiocarbon dating in some awful creationist book, and that was awesome. I'm just delighted to have you back. What have you been up to, and what do you have going on lately?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So my over on Science Side Up, if you guys noticed that I finally uploaded a video, but it was a tutorial for my current students on how to make a graph in Google Sheets. So I hope if that's useful to you, great. But there's going to be more. I got to do a correlation video next. But I actually have a new channel, Dr. Dan, and it's in the vein of the theme of tonight's live stream, which is finding joy in the dark times. And so I have a new channel. It's a TTRPG actual channel, and it's where I get a bunch of my improv friends to play TTRPGs with me. And then we put it up on the internet. It's called OK Roll. It's very silly, and hey guys, it has like no what's the word? Oh man, like no emotional buy-in, right? I'm not here to like wreck your feels, right? It's just here to like bring joy. Yeah.
I just dropped a link to that channel in the chat, so everybody here can subscribe. You can hit that button right now if you're watching this live, and if you're watching this from the future, first of all, hello, I hope things are better. And also I will have updated the description with that link, so you can go down to the description and find that link.
Thank you, sir. So Dan, what are we doing here tonight?
So as you said, tonight's all about finding light in the dark times, right? So as you know, and by you I mean if you out there have been a viewer of mine recently, you may have noted a subtle shift in tone, a little shift in the focus here. We're focusing on, the normal creationist stuff, but we're also connecting the dots between that and gestures at the rest of the world right now. The ongoing fascist takeover of the United States, for example, right? All of that. And one of the hallmarks of the fascist playbook is to just grind people down to the point where they're just not enjoying things, right? It's just an endless barrage of chaos and uncertainty and just like depressing news to make them feel powerless against this kind of onslaught. So one way to push back against that is to remember that even in the dark times, there is still light. There are still good things that can make you happy. And Dr. Maddie and myself, we are both the parents of young children. So we have both had the privilege to enjoy the heck out of the best show on television right now, Bluey.
Yes. Bluey is the greatest show ever made. I will not be taking questions at this time. The number of times it makes me weep.
Legitimately, it's completely seriously. This is an animated show about a family of Australian dogs. The episodes are approximately 7 minutes long, and they are amazing.
Yeah. Dan, are you aware that this was the most viewed television show of 2024? And I heard, I can't substantiate this claim, but I heard that it makes up approximately 25% of the Disney Plus view hours in the US. A quarter of all view hours is this 7-minute show about dogs.
Of which there are approximately 150 episodes right now in 3 seasons. And I encourage all of you, anybody watching this who has not had the pleasure, just binge it. Just go, you'll burn through 20 episodes before you even realize it. And it is just great. So what we're going to do here is Maddie actually put together a tier list for us. We're going to go through season 3 episodes. Again, there are 50 of them. So are we going to get through them all? Almost certainly not.
Probably not. We're going to have a little fun. We're just going to have some joy. We're going to hang out. Guys, I made an old fashioned. I've got Irish whiskey. My personal fight against fascism is to only buy non-domestic whiskey at the moment.
There you go. Yeah, doing the Canadian boycott, but
I had already bought a bottle of Jameson, and I need to go buy some Canadian whiskey to show for solidarity. But I get paid Friday, and then I'll go buy some Canadian whiskey.
All right, so folks, let's do this. We're gonna pull this up now. Here we are. Well, Maddie, why don't you take us through our rankings here?
Okay, so our true S tier ranking is Oscar worthy, right? That's the S tier. Then we have our A tier. I didn't come up with a clever name for A tier.
Nor did I. Maddie, I just want to say, Maddie asked me to come up with a better, and I just failed. I did not come up with it.
It's okay. But then there is makes me feel like a good parent. Episodes that are for the kids. They're not for the parents. They're for the kids. And makes me feel like a bad parent. Because there's no such thing as an F tier Bluey episode. There's no such thing. But some do make me feel like a bad parent.
Yeah, the worst you can say about Bluey episodes is that the worst thing you could say about any single episode is that it is basically just silly and will make the kids laugh.
Yeah.
And that's like as bad as it. Like a bad episode is like mildly amusing for an adult and kids will find it funny.
Yes. Yeah.
And if anybody here has small children and has watched other children's shows, you know what a high standard we're hitting if that is as bad as it gets.
Yeah. There's no episode. There's like one episode of Bluey ever that I am not entertained by. That I find it's a Christmas episode, and it's where Bluey gets Barnaby, and I don't get that one. But that's okay. That's not here in season 3 tier list.
Not our problem. All right, so
do you
want
to jump straight in with Born Yesterday?
Oh my goodness, we're just starting. How do we rank it? How high do we rank Born Yesterday?
Okay,
it's so good.
Born Yesterday is really good. It is okay. So Born Yesterday is hang on,
before we get into the specifics, I think we need to explain that a lot of times, so the Bluey family is dad, who's Bandit.
Yes, Bandit.
Mom,
Chili.
And then we've got 2 kids.
Bandit is an archaeologist because he goes and looks for bones.
Because he's a dog.
That's
a joke.
Chili, canonically, she is an airport security.
And then you have the 2 kids, Bluey and Bingo.
Bluey is 7.
Bingo is now 7, but started the series. I think they started.
Bluey turned 7 because there's that.
Bluey, So but
it might even be in season 3 because it's past the Parcel is Bluey's birthday.
Right. So that's in season 3. Which we're gonna get to that, right? Yeah. That's on my list.
Yeah.
So that's so there's 7 and 4.
7 and 4.
7 and 4. Okay. But when the show starts, they're 6 and 3, and then they get a little
because Bingo has a birthday duck cake. Great episode, but that's season 2.
Yeah, which is funny because my kids are 7 and 4. So
my kiddo is 2.5, and she really identifies with Bingo. She likes Bingo the best, which kind of makes me happy. Sometimes Muffin. She does sometimes really like great. Muffin.
Muffin's great.
Muffin is their cousin. We'll explain as we go.
We'll get there. It's an extended universe. So the thing with we have to introduce with this Born Yesterday episode is that this is one of many episodes where the dad Bandit is, you talk about like your comedy duo, right? You've got your straight man, and you've got, what's the name for the other person? What's the
I don't know.
I don't even know what the name for but anyway, where Bandit, the dad, is the other guy,
Yeah.
right? So he's like all in on the bit. And the
Yeah.
kids are like trying to kind of like, come on, dad, right? That's kind of what's going on.
Yeah. Listen, this is my headcanon about Bluey. So by the way, Bluey is an Australian show. It's produced by like the Australian version of PBS, right? And I am convinced in my own headcanon that this was a show that they wanted to make a show that demonstrates like positive parenting from the dad, right? And you often see Bandit in a caregiving role, and like there's more episodes of Bandit just playing with the kids than there are episodes of Chili just playing with the kids. Like both parents get really involved in the games, but it's more common to see Bandit, and I'm convinced they wanted to model like gentle, positive parenting from the dad.
And one more thing before we get into this, and Maddie, as expected, we're not even gonna come close, and that's okay. But there's a season 2 episode that one time I was at the park and I ended up literally like beat for beat living out this episode. It was the episode called Cafe, where Bandit walks Bluey to the park, and then Bluey meets another kid, and then they ended up making like a cafe where the kids are working and the two dads have to sit down and pretend to be customers at the cafe. Literally happened to me, and me and this other dad are sitting there like ordering food from our two children at the park.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm living a Bluey episode right now. It just like
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love it. Okay. So Born Yesterday. Bluey and Bingo. Well, their dad says something like they try to trick him at this start of the episode, and then he pretends to be. He says like, "What? I wasn't born yesterday," and then they're like, "Oh, could you pretend that you were?" And then the whole episode is Bandit not knowing how to do things, and the kids have to teach him stuff.
Trying to eat things he shouldn't eat, trying to like wear things he shouldn't wear, not understanding social cues.
Yeah. Okay.
Appearance with neighbor Wendy, a common foil for Bandit's shenanigans.
Yes. Yeah. I can't decide. I'm of two minds on my ranking for this one. So I think I'd be very comfortable with an A tier ranking, but I also kind of think this might be a for the kids episode, because it's not, you could not as a parent actually do what Bandit does, because he like destroys the neighbor's yard. right.
And for me, those are the weakest episodes when Bandit takes it too far. And it goes, and it's like, okay, how are we getting the other adults to be okay with this? It kind of breaks the immersion a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So I can see that here. Now, here's why I'm going to argue for an A tier for this one.
Okay.
The very end, because the lesson in this episode is not about playing with your kids. The lesson in this episode is to just take wonder in the world around you.
For the end, I'm perfectly happy with A tier for Born Yesterday.
Yeah. I think
let's see if Canva will play nicely with me. Here we go. At the end, Bandit goes on, and like Bluey even says like the game's over, but he's just sort of like looking at a flower really closely. And I do kind of love that. I do love Omelette.
Omelette is I've been Chili in this episode.
Oh no. Yeah.
Where so folks, in this one it's Bandit's birthday, right? It's his birthday, and so they're gonna make him an omelet. So he doesn't get out of bed. They're gonna make him an omelet and bring it to him. But the kids insist on making the omelet, and you can all imagine how that goes. So one kid has to it goes from, no, it's okay, you stay in bed, to you're not allowed to leave bed until we bring you an omelet.
Bluey keeps hitting her dad with a pillow.
Right. It's like, you're not allowed to leave bed until we bring you this omelet. Meanwhile, Chili and Bingo are trying to make the omelet, and that is going exactly how you would expect a small child attempting to make an omelet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a point where Chili says, like, okay, Bingo, I need you to just stand over here and let me make it. And then she sees how sad that makes Bingo. And so they start all over.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of slapstick in this one, so you could definitely
Yeah.
put this in for the kids.
Yeah. I think this one makes me feel like a good parent.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could go either good parent or bad parent. It could go either way.
Yeah.
Because
okay, for me, the reason this one makes me feel like a good parent is because my empathy falls with Bingo, not Chili, more often.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense. See,
yeah.
I've been Chili in this situation, and it's gone both ways. There have been times where it's just like, look, thank you for your help. I'm gonna make the rest of the pancakes now because we need to have dinner, right?
I guess my kid isn't quite old enough for that. Like the way she wants to help, she's pretty happy to stand in her helper tower and hold a spoon, you know?
Yeah, well, right, because age-wise, we're very different. So like when my 7-year-old, she can make pancakes now.
Amazing.
But that was a learning process to get there.
Yeah.
And there were some pancakes on the floor.
Yeah. My 2-year-old likes us to make eggs. She doesn't eat them. She just wants to make them. She enjoys the activity.
Yeah, and make scrambled eggs fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you want to put
let's do good parent. Let's do good parent for this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
I love it.
God, promises is
promises.
Yeah.
Promises. This is one where I want to slap Bandit and tell him, like, what are you doing? Stop it.
There's a few where the dynamic that is the focal point of the episode. I mean, there's lots of different, there's the sibling dynamic and the parent-child dynamic, but some of my favorite ones, even when it's not the whole episode, but when there's just teeny little bits, and we're going to get to one of these later if we get to into the 20s, we're going to get to one of these later where there's just a teeny little bit of the parent-parent dynamic is really interesting and really well illustrated.
Yeah.
You can tell this show was written,
by
parents of little kids who have had all of these conversations with each other and done the, negotiating different parenting styles and what's the party line before we get to the, to the kids, right?
Yeah.
And that's challenging.
Promises starts with Bandit breaks a promise to Bluey, but the promise was after we go to the trampoline park, we'll go to the library. But then Bluey and Bingo want to stay at the trampoline park later than they'd initially planned, and by the time they get done, the library is closed. But Bluey is mad because Dad promised that they would go to the library. And so like Bluey or Bandit is apologizing to Bluey that evening, but then you find out that Bluey had promised her mom that she would, I think it was clean up a puzzle or something. And she didn't keep that promise. So then they they swear they're going to keep all their promises. And then all the next day, Bluey and Bandit keep tricking the other into making a promise that is like bad. Right. They're using it to like play a prank. It's like, will you carry my books? Do you promise? And then turns out it's like an encyclopedia or something like that. And then
the lesson at the end that Chili gets the kind of ending like, here you go, people. Promises are about being kind, not about taking advantage or playing tricks or whatever, right? That's the kind of
and it's about building trust. And Bingo gets on top of the playground equipment and gets scared. And Chili comes over and says, "Jump down to me." And Bingo asks her if she'll catch her, and she says, "I promise."
I promised. Right? Yeah,
it's very sweet.
Yeah. Oh man.
I just A tier.
I think that one could go in A. Yeah, it's a good lesson. Yeah. It's funny. It's and it's not like some of them, over the top slapstick silly where you're wondering what the heck.
That's a degree of silly I can see being with a 7-year-old.
Oh, folks, let me tell you.
Oh my gosh, dude. Okay, I have a nephew who is 7, and he is a 40-year-old in a 7-year-old's body. and he was recently at his very first sleepover. And his mom texted me a picture that the sleepover kid's mom had sent her. At like almost 10 o'clock at night, he wakes up and goes to his friend's mom and asks for a snack and if they could just have a chat.
Just feel like chat.
I just feel like having a little chat. Yeah,
chat. Yeah, why not?
So he's a little
Yeah.
like a little politician, right? He'll just walk up to anybody and have he'll just walk up to adults and have full conversations with them.
Go.
Right?
Go
It's
for
like, are you talking about stocks? Like, come on.
What are we talking about?
What are you talking about, buddy?
Nice.
But he's great with it. Okay. Let me see if I can't make share. Sorry, I want to make this like bigger, you know?
Yeah.
But okay.
Maybe we can do. You got your 64%. Can we zoom in a little bit so it's because it doesn't have to go so far yet right now, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
We can do like this.
Yeah,
there we go.
And then we can just drag the episodes and just have them hover.
Yeah. Okay, because the next episode is obstacle course. This is one where I'm mad at Bandit for obstacle course.
Bandit. This is am I the asshole? Yes, you are in this one.
Yes, you are the asshole.
So this one is about the kids and Chili set up an obstacle course in the backyard, and then Bandit comes out, and they're doing races, and so Bandit wins, and then Bluey, it's like an old 80s movie training montage, right? And it's great. Bluey and Chili doing the training montage, and then we're gonna do the race again, and Bluey is gonna win. And then right at the end, Bandit grabs her from behind and yoink, and then he crosses the finish line first. And Chili's reaction was all of our reactions.
Yes. Bandit healer.
What was that?
So that one makes me feel like a good parent because listen, I still am naive enough to believe I would never do something like that.
Folks, you think games like Candyland and Trouble are purely based on luck, but let me tell you, I have the skill to have never won either of those games ever.
My sister has insane luck at board games that are supposed to be just based on luck and not skill.
Yeah.
Right? I remember her being 5, so I was 3, and we were obsessed with Mickey Mouse Yahtzee. And no adult could beat her at Mickey Mouse Yahtzee.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Okay.
Folks, just let your kids win until they're a little bit older. It's fine. Teach them, how to play the game, and then you can start, making it a little bit close, but come on.
Oh man. Okay. So my sister loves board games. My grandmother, she actually passed away last year. Yeah. No, sorry, 2 years ago. Time is a weird soup. But she was an author, right? Published, that was her career. And my sister, remember, the only board games she would play were Boggle or Scrabble. And so my sister, I would be like, nah, I'm going to go be a fairy, right? But my sister would be like, well, I want to play a board game, and this is what Grandma will play with me.
That's what we're doing.
So she would play Boggle and Scrabble with our published author grandmother, who did not believe in letting children win.
Oh, no.
So my sister's really good at Boggle and Scrabble. But there was one time she asked Grandma, she was playing, she asked, Grandma, is IQ, and she's 6 years old, right? She's like, is IQ a word? And I was like, nope, that's an abbreviation. And then my sister was like, well, then I don't know any other Q words. Can I use the dictionary if you want to cheat?
Oh no. I will say, I once played when I was in college, I played a game of Scrabble with a younger at the time child who was really into Scrabble and had memorized the Scrabble dictionary.
Oh, good. Okay. Yes.
That was the opposite of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the opposite of fun is, it was that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a controversial take for bedroom.
Okay, yeah, bedroom.
This one makes me feel like a bad parent a little bit.
So this is the one where Bluey wants to move. So Bluey and Bingo share a room, and Bluey wants to move into the spare room. So she moves all of her stuff over the course of the day.
Bandit her dad moves all her stuff.
Bandit moves all of the stuff. Which, first of all, I just want to say, I would have been like, your mom and I need to talk about this. Like, no. Like, we got it. Yeah. This is a thing. We got to lay the groundwork, right?
Yeah. Are you sure? Let's give it a day.
Right. And then once we do it, let's like move the bed and have like a trial period before we move all the bookshelves.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's just see how it goes before we complete the project, right? Let's, so
and then they go to bed in their separate bedrooms that night. And they're up every 5 minutes, passing little notes, getting little stuffies, getting books, getting what we forgot from one room to the next, right? And when they're told, no, you have to stay in your room, we start passing notes, right?
And it's not like written notes because these are young children, but it's like a note with a heart, and then the other kid puts another heart on it and sends it back, and it's adorable, but like...
Yeah. This is the 10th time they've gotten out of bed.
There are times where it'll get to like, I don't know if the tolerance of all that makes me feel like a good parent or a bad parent, because there are times where you just, for me anyway, you just have to treat bedtime like two opposing players just got in a fight on a hockey rink. It's like, you're going that box, you're going to that box, and you're not coming out. Like, you just got to go to your corners.
We're incredibly lucky because we can still use the crib. She doesn't climb out of it. I'm not looking forward to that ending.
Well, I will tell you, when we switched to the toddler bed, for the kid number 1, when we switched to the toddler bed, she liked to get out of it, and then she would sometimes be unable to climb back into it. And this led to one night where she fell asleep on the floor.
Oh, baby.
We did not know this because she didn't yell or cry or anything. She just plopped down on the floor.
Yeah.
That was the last time she did that.
Oh, well,
for like a while.
Yeah. Listen, this is my husband and I, we've talked about this, and our plan-ish, right, is that once she's not in the crib and in the toddler bed, it's going to be, because he and I both, as little children, would take 30 minutes to an hour to fall asleep, right? And like, I needed to look at a book. I needed to listen. I had like little books on tape I could listen to. And I just couldn't fall asleep. And so we've both talked, and that my husband was the same way. And so we've both talked about like, well, if she's anything like us, right, then the rule is like, well, at bedtime, like, it's okay to get out of your bed, right? But you have to stay in your room. You know, that's going to be kind of our, like, you can get a book, you can, you know what I mean? But like, it's lights are off, it's no screens. You can play quietly by yourself, right? We're not going to tell you can't do that.
Yep.
But it's nighttime. We're not going to get out. We're not going to get new toys, you know. That's our plan, right? Like, best laid plans of mice and men here. But yeah, bedroom makes me feel like a bad parent because I would have put a stop to that at like step 2. You know, we would have not gotten to the cute resolve.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know if that's good or bad, but yeah. I'm good with putting that in the mix, just because I don't have the patience to have done that whole thing, right? So I'm down with that rating. We can drop that, and makes me feel like a bad parent. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, our next one is perfect.
Oh man.
Oh, this one hits me in the feels.
Yeah, this one's really good.
This is really good.
I was gonna say, stick this one at least. Which, by the way, this is good.
Yeah,
this is a good. I'm gonna show this for $6.66 for My Unfinished Journey. We might call it $6 and $6.66 dues.
Dues.
Hail Nero, hail Dr. Dan and Maddie, and hail Bluey. Suggested label for category A, straight up wholesome. Yeah, that's a good, something like that. It's the zone we're in here. Yeah, I mean, so the story with this one is it's Bingo, right? It's Bingo doing the
No, it's
art. It's
Bluey.
Bluey doing the art, and
Yeah.
she's trying to
Well,
do this.
yeah.
Yeah, she's doing this specific art. It's been so long since I've seen all of these,
So
and
this
we did
one,
not watch
they're
them in order,
drawing.
but it's
Yeah, Bluey and Bingo are making cards for Father's Day.
Making cards.
Right. And Bluey is very upset that her drawing isn't perfect. And her mom tries to be like, well, that's okay, honey. Your dad is going to love it because he loves you. And then Bluey, being the 7-year-old, leans into that. And so she just takes the piece of paper and draws a line, dead-eyeing her mom. Like, will he love that? And Chili doubles down. Like, yes, sweetie. Yes. She gets a new piece of paper, single dot. Will he love that? Like,
yes. Yes, we will.
Yes, we will, actually. Yes. But what you find out is that Bluey, oh gosh, I think Bandit put a piece of, no, Chili did it. Chili put a piece covered Bluey's art on the refrigerator with Bingo's art.
Yeah.
Because the refrigerator was covered
in stuff.
And what Chili said as she was doing that was, oh, Bingo, this is perfect. Let's put it on the fridge.
Yeah.
And so I'm fine with leaving that as A tier because it's like it's absolutely a cautionary tale to parents, but it doesn't make me feel like a good or a bad parent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's really good. It's really good.
There are some of these that legit would win an Oscar if you played them in front of Frozen 5. Whatever, right?
Well, wait, do you want Perfect to be in the Oscar-worthy tier?
It's close. I think A is good. I think we'll keep that rarefied air clear, because there's
a couple that I think deserve an Oscar.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. What's next on our list, Maddie?
Next on our list, Mini Bluey. Oh.
So I can see arguments for this one. You can either take it more seriously and make it like A, because it definitely feels, or it's just silly and you could do it for the kids. You could go either way here.
Yeah. So the thing that I don't know if it's for the kids is the when Bluey's feelings get hurt, right? When they have double bingo,
right?
It's like double bingo, all right. And then Bluey's like, they don't want any of me.
And if any parents watching this have 2 kids, right in the feels that moment. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, that's oof.
Oof. Yeah. So the premise is, Bingo dresses up like Mini Bluey, and then they switch, and so then it's Big Bingo. Bluey becomes Big Bingo.
Yeah.
And then Bingo is a little more compliant of a kid. She likes to help. She remembers where her library books are, right?
Right.
And
so then when little Bluey goes back to being Bingo, the parents are like, whew, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this is an A tier. I think it's an A tier.
Go for it. Yeah. Definitely,
because there's
a lot of these are going to be A tier, folks.
A lot of these are
going to be A tier. They're really good.
They're just solid. Okay,
man. Yeah, that one does hit you in the feels. All right, what's
Curry
next?
Quest is next.
Love Curry Quest. Just as a general rule for Bluey, episodes based on acquiring food are really good.
Yes.
Like there's several of those. I can't think of a bad one off the top of my head, but I can think of one of my all-time favorites, which I think was in season 1, was the Takeaway.
Oh, yes, Takeaway is it's so good. Because Takeaway is a single shot episode.
That's exactly it. It is the cinematography of Takeaway, because it is constantly, it's one frame outside the takeout place, and we're zooming in and we're zooming out, but it's one thing the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So,
but we're not ranking season 1. We're doing season 3.
No, we're doing season 2. We're 3. We're on Curry Quest.
And this is your kids. If you watch Bluey, this episode is your children's introduction to the hero's journey.
Yes.
That's what this is. And God, it's so good.
Do you think this one's for the kids?
The thing is, if it wasn't, so it's very like in your face, like it's to the parents. It is speaking to the parents, being like, I am teaching your kids about this archetype called the hero's journey.
Hero's journey.
That's what we're doing here, right? And it's very in your face about that. But then everything that goes on, you know, it's funny, it's silly, right?
Well,
so,
but it's also to some degree teaching. It's giving a framework for doing hard things.
Yes.
Right. Yes. That you don't want to do.
Oh, so you know what? Yeah. So let's put it for the kids, but not in but not in a this is just silly kind of way, but in the lesson is very specifically aimed at helping kids, like, and it's not the only episode like that. There's the one in the park season episode
where they're learning how to
doing the things, and it also has Beethoven's Ninth Symphony going in the background, which God, I love that episode.
And we might actually hold on, because we might get to it here. I might just go ahead and pull it. What's the one? I think is it called Stories?
Stories. I watched that recently. Oh, which one is Stories?
Oh gosh,
where is it? I'm looking for the logo.
Yeah,
there it is.
So Stories,
that's where they're making the clay animals. Yes. That's
so. This isn't about
a combination of the two.
Yeah,
that's almost a combination of Perfect and Curry Quest. You put them together and you get Stories, right? Because it's about kids making things out of clay and telling stories about their clay characters. And one of the main character in that episode is actually kind of a side character in the series overall.
It's Indy.
It's Indy, right?
Indy and
so she's like, oh, this doesn't look like a good horse, whatever. And then it's great because the episode does this beautiful head fake where it goes to the credits after like 3 minutes. And then characters interrupt the credits. We're like, I didn't like that story. Let's try that again.
So it's the meta of that episode is the story you tell yourself about failure, right? But it has this other great thing where Indy isn't the one telling the story, right? Winton is telling the story, and Winton is a goober. He's a little French bulldog boy, and like he's the class giant clown.
Muscles.
Yeah, and so like when he's telling this story of Indy learning how to make, so she made a wax horse, but everybody thought it was a cow, and that made her feel sad, and so this is them trying to figure out how to make it look like a horse. Why does it look like a cow? But like Winton, like in the background, randomly has a rocket pack and big muscle.
Right.
It's delightful. So I went ahead and grabbed Stories and put it for the kids for the same reason.
Just stick it there. Yeah, it's similar vibes. I dig that.
Yeah. How do you feel about Magic?
So Magic, it like. So this is one where the parents are really in on, like the bit, and like
so are the neighbors.
Right. So part of me wants to put it towards makes me feel like a bad parent because like you will not get that level of buy-in from me. Like I will do silly. I love playing with the kids but like there's a level of buy-in, especially if in like Chili in that episode is just like going about her business and gets dragged into it.
Yeah.
So I would put that. So there's a lot of silliness. So it's a for the kids, you know.
It's either for the kids or makes me feel like a bad parent.
Yeah, one of those. I would put it in either of those are fair.
Let's put it in for the kids because it hits one of our big criteria of for the kids, which is a degree of buy-in from the parents that is not actually feasible.
Yeah.
Right? Because this involves doing property damage to the neighbor's yard.
Right. It's there's a couple episodes like that where there's, and not just the property damage aspect, but the like the level of telepathy required to buy into the game as fast and as completely as happens. Right. It's just, whereas makes me feel like a bad parent. There has to be a level of feasibility there.
Yeah. I have to say there's an episode. I don't know if it's in season 3. Let's take a look. It's because it's octopus.
That's not season 3, but I know
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great one. But that one, I like that because we see the perspective of a parent who isn't as good at buying into the games as Bandit is. And we see how he figures out how to get into the game and have fun with his daughter. And I love that. Okay. Chest.
I love it. So this one, I love this one so much. This is Bandit's attempt to teach the kids how to play chess because he wants the kids to be smart.
Yeah.
And I will say, I am a better parent because of this episode. Just straight up, like, just
I'm putting it makes you feel like a good parent. It also taught me things, but it does make me feel like a good parent.
Like, no, I will tell you, this episode was in my mind earlier today because we have in the game closet, we have a not frequently used set of dominoes, like a reasonably nice set.
Yeah.
Like, and it has like a little piece of paper in there about how to play dominoes and stuff. So kid number 1 had apparently learned how to play dominoes at school at some point recently. She's in 1st grade, learned how to play dominoes. Cool. Okay. She tried to teach me and kid number 2 how to play dominoes. And you know what? You know what doesn't matter when you're playing dominoes with a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old? The particular rules of dominoes. You know, just go for it.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah. And yeah. Chess is definitely in the chest, as the kids call it. Yeah, makes me feel like a good parent.
Because they call it chest. They just want to make up stories with the little pieces, which I remember being a small child and doing that instead of playing chess.
The names for all the pieces, right? And like disregarding how they move and everything. Just like go for it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that in Australia, red-headed people are often called Blue or Bluey. So in the show, Bluey is a blue healer. Right. But her little sister Bingo is a red healer. But that's so delightful.
That is delightful.
Yeah. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Thank you, Sydney. We appreciate that information.
What a fun fact.
There you go. All right. What's next here?
Sheepdog. Which Sheepdog makes me feel like a good parent in the like you're doing your best and that's okay reminder sort of way.
And sometimes that's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Which now I know it was in season 3 and I don't remember which episode, but it might have been this one. Now that I'm just trying to remember. Is this the one where Bandit has a mullet? Is this one?
This is the one where Bandit has a mullet.
And the whole the kind of backdrop for this episode is Chili, the mom, is just like, I need 20 minutes. Well, she says,
I need 20 minutes.
I need 20 minutes. Right. And I will say, yes, sometimes you just need 20 minutes.
And like, the last time, and what's great about this, by the way, is Bandit comes home and Chili's like taking off an apron. Okay, the kids are outside, dinner's in the oven, and I need 20 minutes.
Yep.
And he goes, yep, okay, heard, I got it.
Yep. And that's that. I will say, I this is my wife and I, we have, you know, I'm very proud. I think we are very happy with our dynamic when it comes to this kind of thing. There are times where, you know, it's like, I don't have like a, 9 to 5 schedule. Some days I have classes later in the day. Some days I'm home all day and I'm doing dinner and right. And so, you know, as the roles go back and forth over the course of a week, there are days where, you know, either I get in the door or she gets in the door and the other one's just like, here's the setup. I need a break. And like,
what I love about what's so real to me about this one is like over the weekend there was a time my husband was like, honey, I need 20, right? And I was like, great. He goes into his office, shuts the door, and our toddler walks away from her room full of toys to the door where daddy is, nose in the door.
Yep. So you have to be subtle about this, though, right? The I need 20 minutes can be a conversation between the parents, right? But then if the kids hear that, and like this might be, for example, let's say, you know, I get home from work after class, and so my wife has handled school pickup and dinner and is starting getting ready for bed, right?
Yeah.
I get home from class and it's like 6 o'clock or whatever, right? So now we're starting kind of bedtime. I need 20 minutes because I just did everything, right? And I'm like, okay, cool, great. Let's get changed. Let's brush teeth. Let's do all the things. And at that moment, there is zero chance that anybody wants me to read a book to them, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be like a little bit strategic about the communicating, the stepping away, so that you get a little stealth time off before the kids know to go chasing.
The kids will sniff out that lie, and that is what happens in Sheepdog. Bluey is like, I'm just gonna go check on mom. Is mom mad at me? It's like I'm gonna go ask mom. I just want to see if she's okay, right? And the dad is like picking her up and throwing her outside.
Yeah, it's like, nope, we're gonna go not in the same area. Yeah, we're gonna go.
And what, to Bandit's credit, what he does is he asks the girls, "Hey, is there a game that you really want to play with me that I always say no to?" And I'll say yes right now.
Let's do it.
And so he has to pretend to be a sheepdog.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great.
That's definitely feel like a good parent. Yeah. Yeah,
and this is also a great episode. Like, so much of Bluey are also things that like you could show the episode to your kids and then talk about it, right? Because part of this is Bluey gets exhausted watching after her dad, the sheepdog, right? And then she learns she feels the same thing of like, I need a break from this.
Yeah, this is a lot. Having to take care of something that doesn't always listen to me, even though things need to happen a certain way. That's really exhausting. I'm really tired now.
Yeah.
It's good. Folks, you'll notice there's no bad episodes here.
There's no bad episodes.
This is great.
Did you know that there's a trend of like young adults who didn't have the best parents growing up, like watching Bluey and healing their inner child, right? They like watch Bluey and cry together.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
What's next here? We're making like good progress, but there's so many episodes.
Housework?
Housework is when it's not on my list of best episodes, and I know so it's Chili's trying to get stuff done, but the kids are like, we're gonna play a game for 5 minutes, and I think this might be the one where Chili's like getting a phone call constantly, and she's like, I'll call you back in 5 minutes, and then is it that episode?
I don't know. Will you just Google it really fast? Because this might be the one.
Let's find the synopsis here. Let me find this.
Where Chili says, like, Bandit is like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll clean all this up. And she's like, okay, great. I'm going to go take a shower. And then he does, but then he ends up playing a game with the kids. And then
this is the one where the kids are doing the silly walks. This is one with the silly walks where they're watching the kids do the walks and they're trying.
Oh, this one is so good.
It's so funny. It's so great. And it's not so much it makes me feel like a good parent so much as it's just like, this is just like the relationship between the parents is so positive, right? It's almost independent of the parenting, but the way they're able to just like, as maybe this is
A tier.
Yeah, it's so good because it's reminiscent. If y'all remember that moment in The Office, the American version of The Office, where they're in that meeting and they're watching the square bounce around on the screensaver and they're waiting for it to hit directly in the corner, and then everyone cheers when it hits in the corner. Yeah. That's what this episode is, except it's watching the kids walk back and forth, and they never walk normally. Going from point A to point B and back to point A, they're always doing something silly. And then at the end of the episode, they're like, okay, time to go do whatever. And they just walk normally out of the room. And the parents are like, they did it.
Yeah. And the premise is everybody is supposed to be doing housework, but the parents get distracted because they're watching their kids be silly.
Yeah, being silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Housework is a really good one.
Beautiful.
Okay, Pass the Parcel. I have seen Pass the Parcel too many times because it's in all of the YouTube compilations.
I just want to tell you that when I say the word parcel in front of my children, they correct me and say, no, Daddy, it's parcel.
Parcel.
Because
this episode of Bluey is called Pass the Parcel.
They know this word with an Australian accent.
My toddler calls construction vehicles diggers. because of Peppa Pig, though. Anyway.
So where do we rank this one? This one, it's obviously there's lessons for the parents here because this is very much the story here is in this game, which I was unfamiliar with because this is not an American thing, or at least not a where I grew up thing.
I didn't grow up with it either. I don't think it's an American thing.
There's a game called Pass the Parcel where you have layers of wrapping, and in between each layer is a small gift, and in the middle is a really big gift. So it's like hot potato with the music. And then when the music stops, you unwrap it and someone gets the big gift. Well, one of the parents sees how this works. And it's Lucky. Is it Lucky's dad? We're going to play with Lucky's dad.
But it's slightly different because in the modern Pass the Parcel, there's no big gift in the center. There's just layer on layer of like a sucker, a bracelet, things, like a party favor. But in the way the parents played it when they were kids, there was just one good present good toy in the middle, and then it's like musical chair. You pass it around, and when the music stops, you unwrap a layer, and you hope that you get it stops on you the last time, and you get a good present. Lucky's dad.
Lucky's dad does it. Kids these days.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean everyone gets a gift? It's like those participation like Lucky's dad's up here yelling.
We're raising a nation of squibs.
Yeah, right. That's it. Yep. And so the kids learn, and the first time they do it with Lucky's dad's rules is that all the kids are very sad because nobody gets a gift.
Everybody cries, and he starts to give away his son's birthday present.
Like money. He's like, here, here's a 20. Like, and then, but then by the end of the episode, the kids, it's as we mentioned, it's Bluey's birthday, and she wants to play it with Lucky's dad's rules.
Yeah. So I think this is just solid A tier. It's got things for the parents. It's got things for the kids.
Yeah, it's really
it's like it's not my favorite episode because I've seen it so many times. But okay. Oh man, we're cruising.
Are we getting to any Oscar? Let's see. What do we got coming up here? We've got
phone
girls driving, Tina, Facey
talk. But the thing is, Facey talk and Rain are both Oscar worthy.
Yes, so like just straight up.
Oh gosh. So is Space.
Space is amazing. So which one of those? Let's sprinkle in one of those three. Which one do you want to do?
Let's start with Facey talk because it's it's not a like. People have possibly seen Facey talk. Like if you're not watching this every night with your kids, you haven't seen Rain. Yeah. So let's do Facey talk.
God, Rain is so good. Let's do Facey. Okay. So Facey talk is the sisters Bluey and Bingo. They have cousins.
Muffin and Socks.
And Muffin is younger and therefore is harder time with sharing and taking turns and things.
Yeah.
So they're on FaceTime with their cousins, and they're having a hard time sharing the face.
Yeah,
the Bluey and Bingo are doing fine, but Socks and Muffin are having a hard time. And the great dynamic here is the parents of Socks and Muffin is the real story here, because the mom, whose name I forget off the top of my head, is just like, okay, and the dad's like, I got this. Don't worry. I got this. So the mom's like, fine, you got this. I'm out of here. And the dad's trying to play, mediator of the younger children trying to share FaceTime. And not doing a particularly successful job of it for a big chunk of the episode, including one great moment where he says, he's like, you need to stop. If I have to say it again, you're going to get a timeout. And then, or what does Muffin say? I forget what the phrase
was. Cowboy hat one more time. And then Muffin just makes direct eye contact. Cowboy hat.
But then he does that. Here was the mistake, though, in terms of the parenting. You could do you could treat this like a scrimmage in the parenting and just be like, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. You wrote a check you couldn't cash right there. Like Muffin called your bluff is what happened right there. Right.
Yep.
And so there's this great moment about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through where now Bandit is kind of supervising Bluey and
Oh,
Bingo.
so when Muffin goes into timeout, she steals her dad's phone and rejoins the FaceTime call.
So now there's two, right? Right. So now there's two screens with each one has a cousin. And then so Muffin is on the DL, and then the other cousin is like drawing on the screen with Bluey and Bingo, and they're doing whatever.
Yeah.
But then in the background, what happens is the dad is trying to get Muffin to like give up the phone, and then the mom comes in, and then they're having a conversation about parenting, and there's a line in there that I just love so much where the dad was explaining like, and then she needs to be in a timeout, and the mom's like, we don't do timeouts. Like, since when? And she goes, I read a book.
I read a book. You're never here. Like, you have to let me parent too. You're hearing this like conversation you're not supposed to be hearing.
and so Bandit in the background is like, why don't you just mute this until Uncle so-and-so and Aunt so-and-so are done talking, right?
Uncle Stripe and Aunt Trixie.
Thank you. Yeah. And so you only see the conversation now, but then the camera zooms in on the two of them over Muffin's shoulder. And you see them like arguing, and then the gestures, and then there's like a gentle hand on the arm, right? And then at the end of it, they hug, and then they turn around and walk towards Muffin together. And it's like this beautiful little moment that lasts, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds. Yeah. It's just great. But then, do you want to describe the
so part of the brilliance of this episode is that in the cinematography, all of our camera shots are just the FaceTime screens, right?
Yeah.
So then Muffin starts running with her dad's phone, and she trips, and it falls off the balcony. So you see the phone turning like end over end.
Right, and then you see sky, house,
and then water as it goes into the pool.
And then it like upwards.
Yeah. And then you just hear Muffin go, I'm in timeout, aren't I? And her mom and dad both go, yes.
And then the phone screen like glitches out because it's in the pool, and then it goes back to just the two. And at one point in the other cut in Sock's screen on the phone, you have the parent, like one of the parents is like hiding behind the couch, and Bluey and Bingo are like just behind the couch. Helping her make it. Yeah.
It's so good.
It's got
the cinematography is so creative. The story is so sweet.
It's
funny, right?
It's got the subtle parenting moments, the relationship between Uncle Stripe and Aunt Trixie. It's just it's who's the character from SNL? This episode has everything.
Everything. Like, and Uncle like Muffin is like she's 3. And she's more of a handful than Bluey and Bingo, you know. She's a great little kid, but she is a handful. And she has more like big emotional outbursts, you know. And so they deal with some of the toddler parenting through a very comedic lens of poor Uncle Stripe and Aunt Trixie.
It's so that episode is just it's wonderful.
It
may seem weird, folks, to be talking about the cinematography in an animated show, but my goodness, just to do the whole episode based on we're just going to see the essentially FaceTime screens, right? They call it Facey talk. It's FaceTime. And that's it. That's all we see. It's just wonderful. Before we move to the next one, we got from Carrie Bronson for $5. Thank you, Carrie. That's very generous of you. I just napped hard enough to think that I was late for work. Man, I've been there. This is a nice thing to wake up to. Hi from New Mexico. Hope you're staying dust-free. Maddie, I think that is for you.
My gosh. Yeah, we had a full like Dust Bowl reenactment here a few days ago. It was not my favorite. I have not picked up the toys from the backyard yet.
Yeah. Oof. All right.
Okay.
So what do we want to do? What do we want to do next year?
Okay, can we do Tina?
Let's do Tina.
Because Tina is for the kids.
Yeah, because this is the suspension of disbelief on this one is too much.
Yeah, but it's Bandit makes the mistake of telling the girls that they have to do what he says because he's bigger than them. And so then they get their imaginary friend Tina, who's even bigger, to boss
Right.
around their parents.
Which I just want to say, I don't know when this, so this is a season 3 episode. I don't know when this episode came out. I don't know if it's coincidence. It's probably coincidence, but I just want to point out, over my shoulder, you can see Dungeon Crawler Carl. Nice. There is a character in book 5 named Big Tina, who is an Allosaurus. It's a whole thing. Don't overthink it, folks. But first of all, actually, let me just take a moment just to ask everybody here and everybody watching in the future, have you met our Lord and Savior, Carl and Princess Donut? If not, you should read Dungeon Crawler Carl, because talking about light in a dark time, that series is as good as it gets. But there is a character in book 5 named Big Tina. And so I was watching this episode going,
wait a minute.
It's probably a coincidence, but it made me wonder, and I would love to find out that it's not a coincidence. That would make me extraordinarily happy.
Yeah. Okay, whale watching.
Whale watching. Okay, so this one is great because the premise of this one is the parents are hungover after New Year's Eve.
Yes.
They do not want to play.
They don't want to play.
Everything is too loud and too bright.
Yes. They're hungover after New Year's, but they have to be whales. I don't know if this one makes me feel like a bad parent. It might.
You know, there are some days you just can't.
You just can't, but they do.
They do. Right? They do. Ends up being Bandit ends up being the boat, and Chili ends up being the whale. And they both play their roles.
Yeah, the end is like Chili being a whale jumping, right? After she gets some corn chips.
Doing the Free Willy thing, you know?
Yeah. I'm gonna put it makes me feel like a bad parent, because I don't know if I would have rallied.
You know why? You know why we could put this in bad parent? Because the level of buy-in is both, above and beyond the Call of Duty, and also realistic.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Ragdoll has one of my favorite lines of all time, which is, I don't want to learn a lesson. I just want an ice cream.
Yep. So let's talk Ragdoll, because that one,
that one's for the kids because the degree of buy-in from Bandit.
It's right. It's that unrealistic level of buy-in, and not just from Bandit, but also from
Wendy,
our favorite neighbor Wendy.
Yeah.
So in this one, basically they're going to get ice cream, and it's a lesson about how you have to work for things. And Bandit is Ragdoll, so they have to get him, out the door and to the car and everything. And Wendy, the neighbor, helps with this. But I don't want to learn a lesson. I just want ice cream is
beautiful.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
I thought what the girls thought, which was once they got him to the car, he would then drive them. But they get him into the driver's seat, and he just goes forward onto the horn.
Yep. And then Wendy pushes him back.
Yeah, pushes him back and drives him to the shops to get them ice cream.
Yeah.
Pizza Girls.
I was just going to suggest we do Pizza Girls because there's a great line in there. So for those of you that don't know, I am from and live in New Jersey, and so pizza is my culture, and there's this great line in there where, so the point here is and yes, A tier, yes, I totally agree. Where they have their old, the old Fisher Price, or was it Fisher Price, or what's the company? I forget, but it's the wheelie, the Flintstones car, right?
Yeah.
And they're using their little Flintstones car as a pizza thing, and they're pretending to call up, at the beginning of the episode, it's Bandit, and It's like, what kind of pizza do you want? You want this? You want that? And it's like, do you want garlic? What is it? Garlic knots or garlic bread with your whatever it is?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I want garlic knots. Of course, I want garlic knots with my pizza. Are you kidding? And it's just, I like, in that moment, I was in. That was it. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Would you like garlic knots with your? Yeah, I want garlic knots. What do you mean? I want garlic knots. So you can eat them for breakfast the next morning.
Yeah, exactly. Of course I want garlic knots. Jeez. I'm pulling out some of my favorites because the other ones I had in that level weren't my favorites.
Yeah, no, the ones that I got on here that Fairy Tale, Rain. We've already done a lot of the ones that were on my list. Turtle Boy. Oh, I love Turtle Boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Turtle Boy is so good.
Obviously. Dirt is good. So let's go where you want to go, and we'll,
Okay. I'm gonna grab Dirt. We're gonna pull all of these up to my tier page.
Smoochy Kiss. I love Smoochy Kiss.
Smoochy Kiss is really good.
Smoochy Kiss is really funny.
Okay. Okay. Stories. No, sorry, not stories.
No, we did stories already. We're down here.
Where are all the ones that I just put up here?
Yeah.
Where are all the ones I just got up?
Ragdoll. Oh, no, wait, we did Ragdoll already. They're all here.
They're all here. What did I do?
I don't know where they are.
Undo.
Where'd they go?
I broke it. Okay.
All right.
We'll just do this. Okay. Rain. Why is Rain worthy of an Oscar? Is it because it's silent? There's no dialogue?
Because it still tells an amazing story about parenting, despite the lack of dialogue.
Yeah.
Because of the soundtrack. The soundtrack alone.
But then also the audio engineering of the sounds of rain.
Yeah. Where it's heavy, it's light, it's going down the drain pipe, it's on the sidewalk, the puddles, so this episode it's raining and it's just Chili. And do we know where Bandit and Bingo are? Because they're not in it. They're
not in it. But I think at the beginning you see Bandit taking Bingo somewhere in the car.
Okay, yeah. And then the clouds come in, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's just Chili and Bluey. And it's raining, and like they're doing stuff on the porch, but Bluey, being a child, goes down to the yard, and he's playing with the running water along the walkway, and he's like making a dam and trying to make a puddle, and like so he's using like his feet and his hands and a towel, or she is using feet and hands and towel and to try to like, and like this is a thing that like if you have been a child during rain, you have done this. This is a thing you have done, and. And Chili is on the porch at first, like
staying dry.
Oh dear,
Yeah.
And then
you're gonna get wet. You're gonna get dirty.
So she gets a towel, and then the towel becomes part of the game, right? And as happens, and then Maddie, what ends up what does she do?
She ends up like getting wet and getting out in the rain and playing with Bluey
and helping complete the task of
building the little dam.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's so great. There's not a word spoken, and it may be my single favorite episode of Bluey. It is amazing.
It's so good.
And if you put it in theaters before Inside Out 3. Right.
Yeah, it'll win an Oscar
as a short before Inside Out 3. That like not even close. That's best animated short. You're winning an Oscar.
Yeah,
not even close. Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay. Yeah,
is that our second Oscar worthy that we've put up there? We've got
it's our second Oscar worthy.
Yeah, we've got Facey Talk and Rain. Yeah,
yeah.
Which really sets those apart for everyone at home keeping track. The thing that really sets those apart is it's this. It's about the parenting and the relationships, but it's also the creativity of telling the story that is very different from
real like art form, right? That's going into it. There's a lot of creativity in the audio design, right? Creativity and care in the audio design and using the medium of animated shorts as powerful storytelling. It's just it's so good.
Another
both of those I think like you don't need to know. You don't need to have watched a single other episode to understand these stories, right?
Yep.
They're standalone and they're so good. It's just they're just elevated.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're like elevated to art as opposed to like art with a capital A, right?
Right.
They have a perspective, they have a point of view.
Another example of this from season 2 is the episode called Sleepy Time, which which is amazing. And we actually, Maddie, we actually have a book of Sleepy Time. It's so good.
It's so good.
Sleepy Time
it's
is
a
amazing.
little bit about children not staying in their beds.
It's a little bit about that, but it's also about like I'm growing up, I'm getting away from my parents. That's kind of a theme in some of these episodes. Also from season 2, Flat Pack is another one like that, which the Flat Pack will wreck you.
It will wreck you.
Yeah.
Can we talk about one that wrecks me in particular that might not wreck everyone?
Hit me.
Cricket. So Cricket, I'm just going to drop an A tier because I think that's where it lives.
Just do it. Yeah. Tell us about Cricket and why you love it. Because I agree. I love Cricket's great. Cricket is fantastic.
So Cricket is really about Rusty, who is one of Bluey's friends. And Rusty's dad is in the army. And this episode is all about the other dads kind of in the neighborhood, right? Or of the kids at the pre-K or kindergarten. They're all together, but it's kind of like, all the girl dads get to play cricket with a really athletic little boy, right? So they're kind of Bandit's. I guess Lucky's dad is a boy dad, right? He's not a girl dad, but it's kind of this like the girl dads are like playing cricket with Rusty, and Rusty's really good, way too good for his age. And you see all these things about like, they try to pitch it like this, but what Bandit doesn't know is that is about the kitchen window, right? And you pan to Rusty and his older brother playing cricket in the backyard and having to hit a ball very carefully when he's swinging it to the side so that it doesn't go in the kitchen window.
Right.
They're going to pitch it because they're trying to get Rusty out. Like, it's time to stop the game and go eat. So they're trying to get Rusty out.
Right, like, we got to move this along now. Yeah.
We got to move this along. Yeah, it's time to stop letting the kids win.
Right.
So they're all actively trying to get this kid out and they can't. And then there's this whole bit about, they're going to pitch it so it bounces weird off this like divot in the dirt. It's like, but they don't know that Rusty plays with his older brother and they don't play with a tennis ball. They play with a real ball. And so you see Rusty playing with these older boys and he's really scared. And he has this whole moment where he like writes a letter to his dad who is away on deployment, right? And then, he gets a letter back and his dad is very much like, I'm going to love you no matter what, blah, blah, blah. There are times in your life when you've got to decide if you're going to like stand up and face the challenge, right? And so then you see, I'm tearing up thinking about this. So then you see Rusty like in the flashback of him playing with his brother, like taking on the kid that's way older than him, pitching and he hits it. And this is going, and the dads can't. So it's all these things about flashing back to different parts of Rusty's life, being the child of a military family, right? And a lot of those hardships, right? But also being in a loving family. And Rusty realizes at the end of the episode, he realizes that it's time to end the game, right? And he's like, okay. So he hits it. I don't know what the cricket term is, but it's a pop fly. I
don't understand cricket, but he
hits it directly so his little sister, who's like 4, can catch it just fine, right? And so she catches it and gets him out, and you realize like the last line of the letter from his dad about like facing challenges was like, make sure you're like looking out for your little sister, and you see Rusty go like be this really good big brother to his little sister, and being like, yeah, you got me right out,
Mhm.
That one makes me weep
So
every
good.
time.
It's so good.
It's so good.
So good.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Do you want to talk
definitely A
about
tier. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, do you want to talk about Fairy Tale?
Let's do Fairy Tale. I love Fairy Tale. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Speaking of parenting, I
Yeah.
have a parenting situation right now that I have to address. So here's what we're gonna do, folks.
Okay.
We're gonna have to call, I apologize. We do have to call this a night. So I need to go parent. Texting with my wife here.
Yeah.
So
Do you
I need
want
to
to
go
just take a
parent.
5-minute break and
So let's, you know what? I don't think this is going to be a 5-minute break kind of thing. I think this is,
you want
I'm
to
going to
call
be
it for
doing
tonight
laundry.
then?
I think this is going to be, I'm going to be doing laundry kind of thing right over here, kind
Okay.
of thing. So here's where, folks, we are going to put a pin in this. We're going to leave it. God, Fairy Tale is, so good. But we're going to leave this, Maddie. We're going to do this again. And
Yeah.
if we can schedule like a monthly, like, let's check in
Yeah.
with Dan and Maddie and just like,
Yeah.
And so we're
check
gonna
in.
folks, I apologize for having to cut this off a little bit short. Maddie, take a few seconds, tell people what you're up to, what should people look out for, keeping in mind, I linked in the chat your new channel, and I will also put that in the description. Everyone should. So skip on that, and then we'll call this.
Thanks, dude. Okay, so you can find, I've got it's a TTRPG actual play channel. We also do some like a little bit of review, a little bit of sort of like live learning some indie games on monthly live streams. That's okay roll. It's in the vein of we all need some joy breaks from especially here in the States. We need little breaks of joy from the fascist takeover. And then you'll see a few little uploads on Science Side Up. I'm using that channel right now to help my some of my students learn how to do some basic graphing stuff. So that's what's going up on my Science Side Up channel right now. But I've got some plans for that in the future, and it's about this book, Lewis Carroll in Numberland. So yeah, that's my nutshell. So next thing on OK Roll is going to be this Sunday. Episode 2 of our Crash Pandas Prohibition series will be out.
Maddie, thank you so much for being here. It is always a pleasure, folks. I'm going to have stuff. I got stuff coming up. You'll see it Wednesdays, 9 p.m. on my channel, Creation Myths, which is where you are right now. Wednesdays at 9, I'll have stuff here. Just, you'll see it. It'll be here. You're here. If you're here, you're good. So I'm not going to take more time on it. We are going to call this a night. Thank you all for being here, folks. I love how many people in the chat were like, yes, Bluey, this is great. If you haven't watched Bluey, check it out. It really is worth it. Even if
get in the comments, tell us why our choices are bad.
Yeah. And maybe we'll get to other seasons, because the other seasons are great too. All right. Thanks, everybody. I will see you all next week. Maddie, I will talk to you soon. Have a great night and stay healthy, everyone. Good night.
Night, team.